Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and here is Mildred making one of her rare film debuts because she's so camera shy. Actually, I have snacks here, so I bribed her. And if I stick those there, that's it. Happiness is a cat with some treats. Anyway, what am I here for? Reviews. I know we're talking about music, but I just can't resist. They're so cute. They really are. They're wonderful cats. No. We have a new recording of Handel, L'Allegro, Il Penseroso ed il Moderato, HWV 55. Well, it has an HWV number, the Handel Werkverzeichnis. But we don't care about that. This features the soloist Rachel Redmond, Leo Jemison from the Trinity Boys Choir, boy soprano, James Way, tenor, and Stretan Manojlovic, bass baritone. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I don't care, so don't correct me. Anyway, the group is Les Florissants with William Christie. Now, L'Allegro, the title is hopeless, right? It's a Milton poem. It means the happy man, the pensive or melancholy man, and the moderate man. I mean, if that is not an unresonant title for something, I don't know what is. But it's one of Handel's very greatest works and most unique. It's an extraordinary piece. I mean, it's a pastoral ode, sort of, kind of, about the contrasting emotions of happiness in all of their ramifications and pensiveness, thoughtfulness, melancholy, and all of that, those ramifications. And then the third part, which is not by Milton, it's by Charles Jennens and Shakespeare and other people, about how moderation in all things is the way to go. Now, Handel was moderate in practically no ways at all. He was like a glutton, and he was a passionate musician, and he was, had a hot temper, and he was none of those things. But that qualified him uniquely to express this huge range of feeling and emotion. There are all kinds of amazing things in here. There's oh, let the merry bells ring round, or whatever that thing goes with the carillon part, which is played by a glockenspiel, and here it's played by all kinds of things, like a glockenspiel and a vibra thing and who knows what. And because no one really knows what the carillon was exactly. It was sort of a key glockenspiel type operation as far as we can tell. And it's got, well, here they add a little percussion in one of the numbers at the beginning, and it's got an organ part, and it's like an everything but the kitchen sink kind of piece. And it has the most gorgeous duet in Il Moderato, which everyone thinks is like the least interesting part because, extremes musically tend to get all the credit. And Il Moderato, he wants to hear moderate music, right? It's like, no. But no, Handel knows how to get around it because the concluding duet, well, the penultimate number is the duet As Steals the Morn, which is quite simply, first of all, it's a genuine duet. There aren't a lot of duets in Baroque music generally. I mean, that are, intertwining of voices in like lovely duetty types like you hear in like Mozart comic operas and things like that. But this is the most beautiful duet before Mozart, hands down. There isn't anything that comes even close to it. It has an incredible tune. And then they sort of intertwine the oboe and the bassoon, and then the oboe goes. And then the two voices come in and they sing the same thing. And it's unbelievably beautiful. It really is. Now, Christie and Les Florissants are so good at doing this sort of thing that you hesitate to criticize them at all. But of course, I never hesitate to criticize anything. And here, I have to confess, this performance didn't do it for me. Sorry, folks. Now, here's the problem. There was a time when these period instrument people would take a rare masterpiece, which this is. I mean, the chorus, populous cities and, please me and whatever that thing is, and let me wander not unseen, with the beautiful Siciliano, and it's just got so many gorgeous things. Sweet bird, it's got a bird aria. It makes like the flute and soprano thing in Lucia di Lammermoor look like amateur hour. I mean, it really does. It's a 15-minute long. It's 11 minutes here, not bad. Da capo sort of aria, sort of aria that just goes on endlessly between the flute and the soprano twittering around with each other. And I mean, they do some flutter tonguing in the flute part here, sort of ornamentally, very clever. But here's the point. Back in the day, as I was starting to say, when a masterpiece was done by one of these period instrument people, first of all, we would fall in love with the music as if it were brand new. And these guys are really good now at what they're doing, and there's no way to sort of gainsay what happens. But the fact is that there are quite a few performances of these, everywhere from Martini's on Naxos to King on Hyperion, Macreesh on the Macreesh label, whatever that thing is that he's on. There is John Elliott Gardner, really quite a few versions. And so it's no longer as rare as it is, and we can make comparisons. And when you make the comparisons, there are a couple observations that I want to make. The first is that the soloists matter a lot. My favorite recording is the King on Hyperion, by the way, in case you're curious. But the soloists here are a somewhat mixed bunch. I mean, 3 of them are very good. 1 of them is not. Rachel Redmond, soprano, first class. Sreten Manojlovic, very good. Bass baritone. He's a little rough in the coloratura a bit, but so many heavy voices are. It's hard to move them around. It's like picking up a truck, And then James Way, he's the tenor. Leo Jameson, the boy soprano, he does very, very well. He has, again, he's a boy. He has some issues with the more rapid coloratura or Let the Merry Bells Ring Round or whatever that thing is. But by and large, he's very good. And you don't always need, by the way, to have a boy soprano. You can have a regular soprano do that stuff. But a bunch of performances do that. And it's a risk, and it largely pays off here. However, James Way, the tenor, who has a lot to do, he's not my cup of tea. Not at all. Why? Well, he reminds me of kind of like a Gilbert and Sullivan tenor. I mean, what Anna Russell said, you need a small, skinny guy who's amazingly spry with a voice like a vegetable grater. That's this guy. He has one of those dry, kind of thin tenor, nasally tenor voices. One would call him an English tenor, possibly, but not even that type of thing. It's a small, light voice. His diction is somewhat affected, shall we say. The way he enunciates, it sounds odd. It sounds it's affected. What the affect is, I leave to you, but it's affected. He's okay in As Steals the Morn. He tries to give himself a certain amount of legato and body, but his tone has no richness. And when he has to do coloratura, I mean, it's all this sort of sharp staccato Gatling gun type delivery that I find quite unappealing. And so that is a problem for me, I am sorry to say. So that doesn't work. And then there's Christie himself. Now, most of the time, the performance is very good and spot on. But in As Steals the Morn, again, he's so fast. Oh my God, it's fast. It's too fast. Morn is not stealing. Morn is looting and pillaging. Morn is breaking and entering. It's not as breaketh and entereth the morn. It's as steals the morn. It just needs to relax. It really does. And so there's no romance to it. Now, the ensemble itself is too small, which is common in period instrument performances. You only have 9 violins divided up between the first and seconds, which is, and so to make the ensemble sound bigger and richer, they are very closely mic'd, which means that there isn't a real piano anywhere. Especially when these woodwind solos, beautiful woodwind solos, the flute and the oboes and whatnot, and they're up close. So the dynamic range is somewhat restricted because of the need to balance the chorus and the instrumental ensemble. These are nitpicky things. They really are. They are, because there's a lot of very good stuff here. But there's competition. The bottom line is there's competition, very strong competition. There's McCreesh, who gives you not only the whole work, but concertos interspersed with it, although I think his ensemble also sounds rather thin and small, but there's more there. And then there's the King, on Hyperion, which I think is the most beautiful of the batch, but it's technically out of print. I mean, you can download it. I think it's available streaming. But it's a huge masterpiece that can be done very well, and this is only partly successful. I am sorry to say, but that's how I feel about it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.